Hello, I'm back again filming another video and I actually have a different shirt on today. Look at me go. What a sophisticated queen. Jokes, we're just in that rotation. If you're new here, come on in. We just like to talk about books here. Very chill. If you fancy sticking me on in the background whilst you make yourself a meal, clean your room, or you've just got some time during your lunch, or you just want to hear about some books, come along for the ride. So today we're going to be talking about that feeling you get when you finish a big series. If you've ever read a series that you've been invested in, it could be a trilogy, could be a bigger series, 4, 5, 6, 7, literally however many books, you can experience this feeling afterwards that can kind of go one of two ways. Now, it can go down the route of kind of feeling burnt out, because it's a lot, right? When you're really invested in a series, you're invested in all the characters, you've built this entire world, and when it's over, it's kind of, sometimes it's a completely satisfying feeling, but sometimes it can be a little bit empty. You're kind of feeling, what's next? What should I move on to? That was great. Do I need to give it some time just to appreciate it? You don't really know necessarily how to proceed. Now, the other way this can go is it can turn into a little bit of a burnout. When you read a series, you dedicate a lot of time, and usually when you're into it, you're reading constantly. And sometimes that can induce a burnout, because suddenly your brain goes, what do I read next? Oh, I don't know, panic, and then you shut down. So today we're going to talk about how we can avoid that. I have about 200 pages left of the final A Court of Thorn and Roses book, A Court of Silver Flames. I am a little bit nervous for it to be over. For me, those final 200 pages are where everything happens. Well, I mean, not everything, but those main things happen. It's a lot of pressure, so I'm definitely building myself up for it, and hopefully I should finish that today. So you'll get a nice video on that tomorrow. Anyway, besides the point, why am I blaming myself? Let's talk about how to avoid the burnout. Well, this is what I'm going to do anyway. First of all, I'm going to take a day or so to just reflect on the whole series. I really enjoy it. I'm going to write some in-depth reviews, going to say what I liked and what I disliked, what my final ratings are, because this is what I like to do at the end of a series. I feel like a lot of the time when I'm reading a series, the walls kind of pulled over my eyes and I'm like, 5 star, 5 star, 5 star. And then actually I reflect, I'm like, well, this book was better than this one was better than that one. And I kind of reevaluate and see, do I think they deserve those stars, and contemplate everything else about it. So I'm going to do that, take some time, write some reviews, plan the videos that I do each book in depth, because I have made some videos on my channel predominantly spoiler free when talking about these books. However, I definitely want to go in depth for those of you who have read it, so you can kind of feel like you have someone to compare it with afterwards. So that will definitely be something that will be coming as well. I'm going to take that time, and then the question, what next? What am I going to read next? Now, I would say in the past I have very much teetered on this, will we go into a burnout after reading a series? Now, the ways I have avoided it have been to, one, try not to choose another big series to go straight into. That feels like a commitment, right? It's a lot of work. You've just finished one series, you're going into another. That can be quite intense. And also when you read a book that's a series, you can kind of start comparing it to the one you've just read, and that's not good. So we need what I like to call a breaker book or a breaker duology, okay? That's the max we want to go, 1 or 2 books. Preferably the best is some kind of standalone, so one that doesn't have a sequel, but you can also get behind a 2-book moment as well, because if you think about it, 2 books aren't that deep. If you read the first one, you don't like it, you don't have to continue to the second one. Because I feel like when there's a series, there's a lot more, you really want to make yourself get into it, so I feel like no harm done. Now this provides you with a buffer. There's no commitment. You can read this 1 book or these 2 books at any pace you want. There's no stress, there's no time limit, there's nothing you need to do specifically within this time. And number 2, I would say choose a book that has maybe not too many pages. Something in the 400 mark would probably be good. Obviously less would be great, but probably top being sort of 400, 450, I would say. I wouldn't say finish your series and then go read Babel or something like this. It's a fantastic book, but it's not going to be a good one to avoid a burnout. Those are my tips to avoid going into a burnout. Now, what do we choose to read next? We've got this criteria if we want something that's not overly long, but also could have one second part, but is probably a standalone book. Where do we find this? Well, you can go on Goodreads, see what your friends have been been reading, see what's top in the charts, I guess, what's being read a lot at the moment. You can also use things like TikTok, BookTok. I'm not sure. I would probably go based on Goodreads more than I would TikTok, but it could give you some ideas. Now, the question of the day, what am I going to read next? I have a couple of plans, as maybe you know, or maybe you will now know. I am leaving Thailand within the next week or so, and we're going to Vietnam and Australia. And whilst I'm there, I want to read some literature from those countries because that is definitely something new. I'm excited for that, but in the meantime, what am I going to do with my next week? I would like to find a book. I've got a couple of ideas. I'm thinking of maybe trying again a book by Emily Henry. I'm thinking of trying one of those romances, but I'm not sure it necessarily excites me that much. Another contender on the cards has been Divine Rivals. I've seen this book quite a lot everywhere. I know there is a second part, but I wouldn't feel pressured to have to read the second part straight away. Obviously, if I enjoyed it, then I would read the second part. I don't feel overwhelmed personally myself by duologies, but if you do, then obviously stick to the one book, standalone. Decide what genre you fancy. Maybe you want to spice it up, you want to go you want to go more for a thriller, or you want to try a new author, whatever works for you. So I've been looking at that. I've also been looking at the Haunting Adeline duology. I'm a little bit terrified of it, to be honest. Scary stuff, because I have no idea what to expect. But I'm definitely obviously going to read the warnings, going to read everything before I would go into that, as you should always do too. But that is another contender. There's also a couple of short stories here and there that I've heard about that I might go for as well. I do have a fan fiction that I've been reading for a very long time but took a break whilst I was reading A Court of Thorn and Roses, so I could go back finish that. That is also another option. There is a book I've seen called The Lost Bookshop. I would be quite interested in reading that book, and as far as I'm aware, I believe it's a standalone. There's also one called Anxious People. That's another book that has interested me. I think I would just like a nice book. That's my criteria. I'd like a book that I could just giggle away at, but it's a nice story. So maybe we'll leave Haunted Adeline for a while. Well, I will no doubt update you with what I decide to read very, very soon. As you can see, I am still indecisive, but I don't want to jump the gun too early, as I still haven't finished the A Court of Silver Flames book yet, so I don't know exactly what I'm going to be feeling. Maybe a duology will be nice. Maybe I want to go for a standalone as one of those books I just mentioned. So let's see what I choose. Come back for that and then you'll get to know. Anyway, I hope these tips have been helpful for you. They definitely are what I like to live by when finishing a big series. It can be a little bit of a dangerous time as a book reader because of the potential falling into a burnout, but we will not be having any burnouts on our channel, and if you do, it's okay. I have also made a video on how to help you get out of a burnout. You can go watch that if you want as well. Well, without further ado, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, I was a little waffly, but we're getting better. We're holding ourselves accountable and we're doing this every day. Don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up, smash that like button, and don't forget to subscribe. I do apologize about the cicadas that have been going off the whole time. I just realized that I kind of tune them out, but I realized now that I can hear them, so I do apologize. And as always, until tomorrow, I'll see you in the next one. Bye. They are kind of annoying now. I do apologize. Hair a bit wild today, but that's alright. Don't you worry.